Frequency. We all know that frequency and speed are related to each other. If we discussed about inside the alternator or inside the power generating station, what is happening there? We all know the electricity is generated inside the power plant, and by help of some prime mover, the rotor of the generator is rotating. A permanent DC source is given to the field coil for energizing the rotor, and this rotor is just rotating by help of some speed. By maintaining the speed, we are getting the frequency. So this is the interconnectivity between the speed and frequency. If we are increasing our frequency, if we want to increase our frequency, then we have to increase or control our speed. So the speed and frequency are related to each other. The frequency of the generated AC is directly proportional to the rotational speed of the alternator or generator. Inside the generator, if we are talking about what is happening there, the generator stator is in static coil or static winding, and the rotor is the rotating coil or field winding. When some rotating magnetic field are just formation inside the alternator, the electricity or current or voltage is generated in the stator winding, and this EMF, electromagnetic force, is generated in the stator, and it is being step down or step up as per the requirement. There, generally in the power plant, it is being stepped up to the transmitted voltage as per the requirement purpose. Generally, the electricity is generated up to the 11,000 volt or 11 kV, 13.75 kV, 15 kV or 19.75 kV. Generally, we are talking about the 11 kV. So this 11 kV EMF is generated in the stator by rotating the rotor. So the frequency and speed is depend on each other. If the alternator spin 3 times per second, the frequency is 3 Hz. If the alternator is rotating 50 times per second, so the frequency will be 50 Hz. So what is happening inside the alternator? The frequency generated, how the frequency is generated, what is the frequency, and why this frequency is very, very important here. Inside the alternator, the frequency generated by help of the interaction of rotating magnetic field with the stationary conductor. So in between the stationary conductor or rotating magnetic field inside the rotor, the frequency is being generated. We all know the formula of the frequency is F equal to 1 by T. What is the T? T is the time period. Here the frequency determination, the two parameters is very important for determining the frequency. One is the rotor speed and another is the number of pole. Where the pole is being generated, the pole is being generated when we are rotating the rotor inside by help of the prime mover. When we are rotating the field in between a coil, the magnetic field is generated, and this magnetic field, that means if in the rotor the north pole is generated, in the stator also the north pole is there. So the north pole and north pole both are repel each other. So by help of this repelling and attraction in between the stator and rotor winding, the rotating magnetic field is generated, and this rotating magnetic field is generating the electromagnetic force. So the rotor speed and the number of pole is very important to maintaining the Indian frequency of 50 Hz, because the 50 Hz is the standard frequency that is being maintained in Europe, India and various parts of the world. But for 60 Hz, America, Japan, they are maintaining the 60 Hz. So nothing is changing here. Only they are changing the number of pole and the speed of the rotors. They are controlling their 60 Hz power, and by help of the 60 Hz power, all the insulations of the equipments is connected or insulated with 60 Hz capacity. In India, the 50 Hz capacity here we are maintaining. So if we are discussed about the frequency determinations, here the formula we have to remember, F equal to Pn by 120. So what is P? P is the number of pole. Number of pole. What is pole? When we are talking about the pole, we just thinking about the magnet. So the magnet has the two pole, north and south pole. So how many numbers of pole is being generated inside the generator or alternator to making the electricity as an EMF? So here for maintaining the 50 Hz frequency, we have to generate 4 number of poles. That means north north and south south. By help of this north north and south south pole, the rotating field is generated in between the stator and rotor, and the magnetic field are just transmitting the magnetic energy to the electrical energy. So MMF, magnetomotive force, is converting to the electromotive force. So this magnetomotive force and electromotive force are just controlled by help of the two parameters. One is the rotor speed and another is the number of pole. Here we have to remember the formula, because if we are putting the, we know also the 120, what is 120? In case of the three-phase system, 120 degree apart, all the phase are in between. So red, yellow and blue, three phase are generated in our star system. If we are talking about the star system or star delta connected generator, so in case of the star connection, red phase and Y phase, in between the red phase and Y phase 120 degree apart is very important. That's why here the 120 is being used for the calculation of just getting the frequency. So here 120 is for that. Here the 120 P and N. Why P and N? We have to maintain the 6000 P and N by multiplication. So we are getting P 4 and N is 1500. So we are getting the 6000. So if we are maintaining the P, 6000 divided by N, what will be the speed of the rotor? The prime mover should rotate the rotor 1500 RPM. So what is the RPM? Is the revolution per minute. So if the rotor is rotating 1500 RPM, so the 4 number of magnetic pole is generated inside the generator or alternator. When these 4 numbers of pole is generated and 1500 RPM we are maintaining, we are getting the 50 Hz frequency. So here it is very important, the speed and frequency. So let's discuss about how we will get this. By help of this formula we are getting, if we are putting that P equal to 4 and N equal to 1500 by 120 degree apart of each phase, we are getting the 50 Hz. So the frequency and speed are very important to be remembered. For in the AC generated voltage or AC generated current, the 50 Hz frequency, by maintaining the 50 Hz frequency, we are generating the MMF and also we are generating the EMF. So it is very important to remember the frequency and speed. If still you are not subscribed my channel, please press the bell icon for more updated electrical engineering related topic and video and real life video. Thank you. Thank you for watching my video. Please subscribe my channel and press the bell icon, and obviously share my video with your friends and colleagues. Thank you very much for watching my video.